Welcome to the ultimate deck guide for She-Hulk in Marvel Snap. Today's video is going to start by covering some cards that have strong synergies for building decks with She-Hulk. It's going to highlight a deck list that you'll be able to build even if She-Hulk is among your first Series 3 cards that you open. And finally, it's going to scale up into showing you a range of different deck lists that She-Hulk is powerful in as your Marvel Snap collection grows. She-Hulk is arguably one of the best cards in Marvel Snap because her ability allows us to do something that's incredibly powerful, which is conceal where we're going to be deploying our power to the board until the final moments of the game. Costing one less for each unspent energy on the prior turn, you essentially bank resources from one turn into the next, letting you gain information about how your opponent is going to be developing their board before we commit more power to our own. Because She-Hulk is a card that incentivizes us to pass with energy up, Sunspot is definitely the best synergy card you can be playing alongside her, and you're going to find this card in basically every deck featuring She-Hulk. When you pass on turn 5, those 5 points of energy are going to add 5 stats to Sunspot, while also decreasing the cost of She-Hulk in your hand. The next card that works fantastically with She-Hulk is Moon Girl. Just like She-Hulk is happy to share that unspent energy with Sunspot, she's also happy to share it with other She-Hulks in your hand. If you have 2 She-Hulks in hand on turn 5 and you pass with that 5 energy up, both of those She-Hulks are going to be 1 energy 10 power plays on turn 6. The final synergy card to highlight when deck building with She-Hulk is Wave. Wave on the next turn sets the cost of all cards in both players' hands to 4, and this ability interacts profitably with cost reduction like She-Hulk's text box provides. On turn 5, if you deploy Wave, leaving up 2 unspent energy, everything in your hand will get set to cost 4, and then She-Hulk will go, oh, you had 2 unspent energy last turn, I will go from 4 down to 2, meaning you can play literally any card in your hand plus a 10 power She-Hulk, while your opponent is frequently going to be locked in to making just a single play. Our budget She-Hulk list today does have one other Series 3 card in it, and that is Magic. Magic creates limbo at whatever location she's played at, meaning there is a 7th turn in the game, and this is crucial for the combo that this deck is looking to set up. Essentially, what this deck wants to do is play Magic on turn 5 to create limbo, then we pass on turn 6 with 6 unspent energy, which means on that 7th turn, She-Hulk will be completely free, and we didn't play anything the turn prior, meaning we can also deploy the Infonaut out. If we had a copy of Moon Girl into the mix, we could possibly be deploying double She-Hulks, Infonaut, as well as a 1 energy plays, such as Rocket Raccoon or Blade, meaning that this deck can slam over 40 points of stats into play on the 7th and final turn when everything in its combo comes together. The non-budget version of the Magical She-Hulk combo gets 2 key upgrades. Titania provides additional stats over Rocket Raccoon or Blade as your 1-drop that you're looking to deploy on that 7th and final turn of the game. And Psylocke does a kind of mini magic impression where if we play Psylocke on turn 4, we will have 6 energy on turn 5 to pass with, which then means we can She-Hulk and Infinite on the 6th turn of the game instead of the 7th turn. The addition of Psylocke adds a little bit of redundancy to the deck, allowing us to combo a little bit more consistently when Magic is too shy to be showing up. This She-Hulk double up deck is one of my absolutely favorite style of decks to play in Marvel Snap. It is what I often refer to as a build your own 6-drop deck. And what that means is instead of making one single big play in the final moments of the game, you're going to play a whole bunch of different cheap cards out onto the board into whichever locations are most likely to get us that win. Not only will we be deploying She-Hulk, but we've got Titania as a 5-stat 1 energy card. We've got 6 power demons from the hood. We have 7 power Maximus, and we even have Juggernaut to kick around our opponent's plays on the final turn to really dictate how it's going to play out. Moon Girl gets added into the mix as well to double up all of these effects, and we add a dash of Quinjet to reduce the cost of not only our demons, but all of the copied cards that Moon Girl is going to be providing for us. Now, if you're missing any of the Series 3 cards in this deck, you want to focus on replacing them with cards that have low cost and high power stat lines. Things like Rocket Raccoon, Swordmaster, Polaris are all excellent candidates if you need to sub out cards that your collection might be missing when you give this deck a try. This Wave Hulk deck is a fun, disruptive deck that looks to close the game out with a final big combo play thanks to how Wave interacts with She-Hulk's cost reduction. The basic game plan here is we're setting up the early game board with things like Storm or Goose to restrict where our opponent is going to be able to play out, and then on turn 5, we deploy Wave, leaving 2 energy up, allowing us to slam not only She-Hulk, but also Arrow or Magneto as an incredibly powerful second play. One important interaction to note with this deck is when Wave sets the cost of all cards to 4, actually locks your opponent out of playing to whatever path Goose is in, while our 2-cost She-Hulk is still going to be able to slip in there in the final moments of the game. While Wave is obviously a must-have for this archetype, you can replace a lot of the other Series 3 cards if you're missing them in varying ways. Arrow and Magneto can be substituted for things like Hulk or Doctor Doom as big bombs that you can play on that final combo turn alongside She-Hulk, and things like Kingpin can just be other utility cheap cards like Polaris, or they can be tech cards like Shang-Chi or Enchantress, depending on what types of decks you would like to hedge as you're setting your deck up. This next deck is one of the nastiest combo decks in Marvel Snap, and that is Death Wave. Death, similar to She-Hulk, has a cost reduction ability that plays really well with Wave. The biggest possible flourish that this deck is capable of generating is you play Wave on turn 3 with 2 energy up, and then on turn 6 we play not only Arrow and She-Hulk, but also a Death that will be completely free so long as we've destroyed at least 4 cards over the course of the game. Past this big combo plan at the top end, this deck also has a kind of honest destroy game plan. Things like Nova and Bucky Barnes pair with Carnage and Deathlock to let us get stats on the board early to help make our end game more decisive when we play out all of our big threats. As far as potential Series 3 replacements go for this deck, you do need Death and Wave in addition to She-Hulk. Those are not negotiable. However, Arrow could easily be something like Magneto or another large stat stick that you'll be deploying alongside She-Hulk and Death on your final combo turn. And Hood can be whatever other 1-drop you would like to play. You just want to make sure that that is another cheap card that you can easily be destroying with something like Carnage or Killmonger to enable our Death combo on the final turns. Our next She-Hulk deck here, Shuri, Sauron, She-Hulk, leverages a combo that we haven't highlighted yet today, and that is with Shuri and Taskmaster. So Shuri is a 4-drop that doubles the stats of the next card that we play, and if we play Shuri on turn 4, pass on turn 5, on turn 6, we can play a 1 energy She-Hulk that will be doubled up to 20 stats, and then we can play a 5 energy Taskmaster that will copy the 20 stats off of She-Hulk, giving us a 40 power play on the final turn of the game. The rest of this deck is a Sauron Detrimental ongoing deck. We're looking to wipe off the negatives from Typhoid Mary, Red Skull, Ebony Maw, and Lizard to great effect. This deck loves to double up its other large-setted things as well. Shuri into a 30 power Red Skull, into an Arnim Zola, copy that 30 power Red Skull across the board. Also is a combo finish that's going to get you a lot of wins inside of Marvel Snap. As far as card substitutions go, Shuri is unfortunately not negotiable in this archetype. Her double up is key to not only the She-Hulk combo, but also getting big Red Skulls that we can copy around the board. Sauron, despite being in the deck name, is actually something that can reasonably substitute out for another cheap card that you can play on curve. This archetype existed in a powerful state before Sauron was added to Marvel Snap, and it's still very reasonable even without him. I saved what I think is definitely the most powerful She-Hulk deck for last, and she's not the only busted card this deck is playing. Zabu as well as Darkhawk are incredibly powerful cards that make this deck hit hard. As of my recording of this video, over 8,000 matches have been logged by the Snap.fan tracker app for these 12 cards, and they have an over 56% win rate in that pretty significant sample size. Now, it is worth noting, depending on when you're watching this video, I am recording it before an impending Zabu nerf that we don't know exactly how it's going to hit yet, so the exact power level might differ in the future, but if you're checking this deck out when this video is published, I think it is an awesome choice for laddering up with. The biggest strength of this deck is that it just has so many different busted draws, it's really easy to snap early to gain an advantage. Zabu on 3 with good 4-drops to follow it up, snap that hand. Sunspot, Moon Girl, She-Hulk to double up, snap that hand. This is easily the best Zabu deck I have ever played when you don't draw Zabu, thanks to the variety of other powerful things that it brings to the board. Hopefully, today's video gave you some excellent ideas on how you can use She-Hulk with your own Marvel Snap collection. If you're interested in seeing some of my deck ideas in action, be sure to check the video description down below for links to full individual deck guides on most of those. As always, I would love feedback on this Ultimate Deck Guide series. What cards do you think I should consider highlighting in the future in this way? What She-Hulk decks have you been playing that you think I might have missed that others should know about? Let me know all of that in the comments down below. And as always, if you enjoyed any of my ramblings today, be sure to snap that like button to help this video reach more people. And if you're new to the channel, you made it all the way to the end of the video. You probably liked some of what you heard here today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I post full deck guides like this, as well as highlights, game news updates, and everything Marvel Snap here 7 days a week. And I'd love to see you back again sometime. Hopefully see you tomorrow, folks. Enjoy the rest of your snapping today.